This is the story of one of America's great unsung heroes.
Colt Seavers was known as the Fall Guy of Hollywood, a stuntman who uses his skills and knowledge of stunt effects to moonlight as a bounty hunter. Yeah, watch out, dog. Colt was known for using his gorgeous striped GMC 4x4 pickup to nab fugitives or innocent persons needed for questioning. And sometimes the trouble would find him, even coming from space to do so. But Colt could see through the gimmicks, the magic of movie making allowing him to see through the BS. Colt was always accompanied by his cousin Howie and aided by the beautiful bail bondswoman Terri Michaels. And of course, his fellow stunt woman Jody Banks. This show was action-packed, with great detective plot lines as well as a behind-the-scene glimpse into Hollywood. And for those of us enthralled by film and TV, this show let us go behind the curtain, with our favorite action hero guiding the way, Mr. Lee Majors. And that crooning theme song that set the mood was of course sung by Lee Majors himself, even becoming a minor hit in the early 80s. I'm your host, Nostalgic Nick, and today we're finding out what these bounty hunters got into after taking in their final bad guy. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more retro TV fun. But without further ado, let's check out the unknown stuntman who made Redford such a star.
Your first suggestion, kid, that's excellent, really excellent.
Lee Majors. Colt Seavers is an experienced Hollywood stuntman who soon discovers that there's more to life than just being the fall guy.
Now what happened?
Look, I haven't got time to explain right now.
And he's as good at bounty hunting as he is with explosions and car chases. Part of this wasn't acting. Majors was a heck of an athlete as a young man. Lee began acting in the mid-60s with his big breakout role in the Western series The Big Valley, beating out hundreds of potential half-siblings to the Barkley family for his iconic Heath. One of those potentials was Burt Reynolds, fresh off his Quint in Gunsmoke. And we have an entire episode devoted to Big Valley if you want to revisit the Barkley Ranch. But when thinking about Majors, the majority quickly conjure up his bigger, faster, stronger performance in The $6 Million Man. I mean the jumpsuit, the iconic run. This series truly was decade-defining. And during this time, he also married the one and only Farrah Fawcett. Their marriage was a bit turbulent, however, Lee wishing that Farrah would play the housewife role, cooking dinners on a schedule. But after 9 years of marriage, a surging career for Farrah herself, the two divorced in 1982. Lee Majors said, quote, "I think I saw her 2 weeks in 1 year. This business is tough, working 14 hours a day, both of you." The Fall Guy exploded onto the scene in 1981, and Lee made sure real stuntmen got plenty of work on his show, because early in his career he also worked as a stuntman and had plenty of stuntman buddies. His career took a bit of a fall after the series ended. In 1991 he completed 2 seasons of the show Raven, and people did enjoy the adventures of a ninja and ex-Special Forces soldier. Then it was time for the 1994 reunion TV movie Bionic Ever After. We last saw him in the film Narcos Sub in 2021, and he's currently filming Spring Break 83, along with some other Do You Remember favorites like Chips' Eric Estrada. Today, Lee's 82 years old and has been married to Faith Majors since 2002. Joanne Flug. Samantha Big Jack is a bail bondswoman who was only part of season 1 of The Fall Guy. You may better remember her for her first role, even if you couldn't see her on 2 fronts, as Joanne voiced the Invisible Girl in the 1967 cartoon The Fantastic Four. Then in 1970, she got a huge break in the Robert Altman directed film MASH. And even though the majority of her lieutenant dish got cut for time, her charm and beauty still managed to make a lasting impact. And from the Yul Brynner-led 1971 Western Catlow to 10 episodes of Operation Petticoat, the 1970s were great for her, but things began to slow in the 80s. Aside from acting, she also works on developing and presenting training sessions on etiquette for children, as well as business professionals. She was married to Love Connections' Chuck Woolery in 1972, and the couple had 1 daughter before they divorced in 1980. Since 2011, she's interviewed celebrities like Pat Boone and Shirley MacLaine for the Joanne Flug Show on Seaview Radio. Today, Joanne is 81 years old. She lives in Florida and became a born-again believer after being baptized in Pat and Shirley Boone's swimming pool. Douglas Barr. Howie Kid Munson is Colt's younger cousin, who does everything from poorly manage Colt's finances to taking first, second, and third shifts driving to and from bounty destinations. Basically, he's Robin to Majors' Batman. And the chemistry absolutely works for this series, with Barr bringing a lot of comedy to the show.
Hey, you've got horses!
Barr began acting in 1980, and right off the bat, he became a series regular in the short-lived construction workers comedy, When the Whistle Blows. But thankfully, it only lasted one season, because the following year it was time for The Fall Guy. In the late 80s, he appeared as Alex Jagger in the series The Wizard, about an eccentric little person inventor. Then in 1990, he starred in the family-friendly sci-fi flick Space Invaders, and the dim-witted Martians really were quite hilarious. Then it was 13 episodes of Designing Women in the early 90s. His final acting gig was 1994, the Cheryl Ladd starring series One West Waikiki, but Douglas had other ventures on the mind. In 1998, he started Hollywood and Vine Cellars, a small but high-end wine producer in Napa Valley. Today, he is 72 years old and has been married to Claire Kirkconnell since 1984. And Claire even did a season 5 episode of The Fall Guy in '85. He keeps a low profile but did take part in the Fall Guy reunion in 2020. Markie Post. Terri Michaels was the bail bondswoman who entered for season 2, replacing Big Jack. Markie was underrated in this show, although sometimes she spoke at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But her career continued thriving even after she left the show after season 4, leaving for an even better role, Christine Sullivan on Night Court, which she starred in from 1984 until it concluded in 1992. She also became known in the 90s as Georgie Ann on the CBS show Hearts of Fire. And from playing the perfect mother to Cameron Diaz in Something About Mary, you know, when We Got a Bleeder became famous, to more recently as Bunny Fletcher in the very popular Chicago PD. Markie's career always shone as bright as her beauty. Sadly though, Post had been battling cancer since 2017, and Markie passed away in August of 2021 at the age of 70. She passed just 27 days after the death of another Night Court co-star, Charlie Robinson. Heather Thomas. Jody Banks is one of Hollywood's hottest stunt women in the game. She was the only other member of Colt's stunt team before Howie showed up, and subsequently began hitting on her much to her dismay.
Unless you want to spend the night picking up your teeth, you'll watch the way you talk and look at me.
And Thomas shone bright as the fit, faded denim bombshell that certainly kept guys watching past the explosions. Heather Thomas stepped onto the scene in 1978 and quickly booked the short-lived series titled Co-Ed Fever, which was trying to capitalize on the Animal House shocking comedy trend, but television was not the medium for that. But no worries, because in 1980 she did one episode of BJ and the Bear, produced by Glenn Larson, who remembered her when he was casting his next series, The Fall Guy. And from a starring role on television to her success as a pinup model, things looked great from the outside, but everything wasn't peachy keen. Throughout The Fall Guy, Heather was addicted to cocaine, and finally in the mid-80s entered rehab to get clean. Her acting career ended after her role in the 1998 film My Giant, with the exception of a 2014 appearance in the film Girl Trash All Night Long. But in all honesty, I haven't gotten around to that one yet. One film you may remember her in is the 1982 Willie Ames and Scott Baio high school comedy Zapped. One reason she left acting was due to stalkers. She wanted to focus on family life and also explore writing. She explained, saying, quote, "I had one guy climb over the fence with a knife one time. I had these 2 little girls and they desperately needed raising, so that was that." And she did get into writing too, publishing her first novel in 2008 titled Trophies. Today, Heather is 64 years old and can be followed from a safe distance via her social media. So let's toast to this fantastic 1980s series. What's a specific episode of The Fall Guy that you remember? The roller derby one was great, cause who doesn't love Jody throwing some bows against some other tough ladies? Did you have a favorite character on The Fall Guy? And who thinks this was Lee Majors' best TV show? Get in those comments and let's discuss. And as always, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss any of the action. From all of us here at Do You Remember, thank you very much for watching.